Hey, welcome everybody. It's Monday night. This is in the batter's box. It is the NDSC Sports Weekly Baseball Show. I'm your host, of course, Ralph Garcia, joined by you know who. Uh, he is the host of the Enhanced Sports Show Saturdays, 4 to 6 p.m. You know drill. You know when to call. You know when it's too late. You know when you're not getting in. Of course, also the co-host of In the Batter's Box, Mr. Louis Sonora.
Ralph,
Louis, it is a wonderful time
here
of
it
the
comes.
year.
Uh-huh.
Whenever, whenever,
Mhm.
whenever I'm feeling down, whenever
Yes.
I'm melancholy, whenever I'm
Mhm.
confused, if I'm having a bad day, a bad week, a bad month,
Of course.
I can get a Tylenol for a headache, or I don't know, take some pain meds. But Louis,
Mm.
the best medicine in the world for me is when the
Yeah.
Yankees are just in disarray and all of a sudden the Bronx is like, holy crap, what the? But we'll talk about that real soon. I just wanted you to know,
Yes.
Louis, I'm in a good mood, Louis, and I just
I
wanted
get
you
the
to know.
same feeling for some other team that I won't mention, but you get the idea.
All right, thank you, Louis,
And uh, and they let
and,
me know too.
and of course my partner, my friend, and the co-host of In the Batter's Box, Mr. John Doucette. John, baseball,
Ralph, as always, good to be with you.
yeah, he'll probably still be saying that when he can't talk anymore.
Right.
Yeah,
I'll
hard thing
hear
to
it
do. But,
I'll hear it in my head. Of course, the website is ndscsports.com. We catch all of your current content. Log on now, and our boy in the NBA gives us that's Jordan Real, by the way. NBA swing. How the Clippers outsmarted the new CPA. You're looking at it's got a picture of Chris Paul, Kawhi Leonard, and who's the guy from? I forgot him already. Hold on.
Mhm.
I'm gonna say his name, and I'm gonna feel like an idiot. I mean, Bradley Beal. Bradley Beal.
There we go. Oh yeah.
So Jordan talks about how you got to manipulate the NBA now. You got this first apron, second apron, and Commissioner Silver's done a great job of trying to get parity back in the NBA. So that comes from Jordan Ria. Also on the site, we've got John. I love our interns. Okay, love our interns. Zachary Worstel gives us Summer Woes, the Akron Rubber Ducks. John, the Akron Rubber Ducks, you say, John? Yeah. The
summer baseball,
Akron Rubber Ducks.
summer
Yeah.
baseball.
Akron Rubber Ducks. Let's see here. Where are they at, John? I'm looking for it.
Akron, Ohio, I believe. But
Yeah, no,
that's
I'm
summer
looking for the
baseball.
league. I'm looking for the league that he's covering because I'm loving the stuff that he's giving. Oh, you know how many times have you and I talked, John, about the smaller leagues and all the smaller schools and the independents and stuff. And the stuff that Zachary puts up, I have to go look up because I don't know who the teams are.
Well, I mean, summer collegiate baseball is becoming a very popular thing across this country. I mean, there are loads of leagues that are taking advantage of Division I college baseball players just looking for a place to play in the
Mm-hmm.
summertime, and this would be another example of it.
Ain't that sweet? Speaking of Zachary Worstel, he also gives us, John, the Toledo Mud Hens
Heard
fighting
of
for
them.
the playoffs.
Yeah, that's AAA of the Detroit Tigers.
I love it. I love it. All that and more. Of course, on gscsports.com, where we never stop. So, we are at the heart of the baseball season.
Sure
What do
are.
they call it? They call it the dog days of summer.
Right.
This is where we're going to talk Major League Baseball trade frenzy here. This is where the deals were made. We were talking earlier in the season, coming up on trade deadlines. Who are the buyers? Who are the sellers? once you get to that point, the trades happen. What were the trades? What were the impact, John? As you look at everything that's happened now, where they're at. I mean, for you, John, what is it that stands out?
Well, the thing that stands out is the two teams that sold. I mean, the Minnesota Twins, who traded 10
Who
of
sold
their
everything but the kitchen? Who sold everything but the kitchen sink?
Well,
basically
come tomorrow.
10 of the 20 players on the major league roster ended up going somewhere else. And of course, that team being up for sale was basically the reason why that happened. I mean, the Baltimore Orioles did the same thing. They traded 9 players away from that 26-man roster based on a season that really has gone, unfortunately, south for them.
Not surprised. Not surprised.
Yeah, not surprised there either. And then there were the other teams that made some minor moves. I think this, a couple of the steals were the San Diego Padres getting Mason Miller from the Sacramento A's to solidify back end of the bullpen, and now has a lefty closer in Josh Hader, and now a right-handed closer in Mason Miller. I mean, that team now becomes really, really dangerous going forward, and they should be able to shorten games because of that back end of the bullpen. That really is good. The Phillies found the closer in Duran from Minnesota, a part of that sell-off by the Twins, so they've now solidified the back end of their bullpen with a legitimate closer. And then, Merrill Kelly got traded away as well by the Arizona Diamondbacks. That was kind of expected. Zach Gallen, too, but that never really happened. And then you got the weird move, which was the Toronto Blue Jays deciding to trade Shane Bieber of the Cleveland Guardians, despite the fact that he's recovering from Tommy John, hasn't pitched, is not going to pitch this year. And yet the Blue Jays decided to take a flyer on Shane Bieber, hoping that the Tommy John surgery will bring him back to where he was before it happened. An interesting move made by that team, but one that I think, if it pays off, could end up being the steal of the whole day.
Well, as a Met fan, of course, I'm paying attention to what the Mets may have done on that day, and I was obviously pretty pleased. Center field has been one of the major holes in this team this year, and the market for center fielders in free agent was not too thick at all, folks. As a matter of fact, it was pretty thin. But one guy in particular, Cedric Mullins from the Orioles. The Mets get Cedric Mullins. They give up Anthony Nunez. Let's see over here, Ramon Gomez and Chandler Marsh. But the thing, of course, with Mullins, you're talking about a former All-Star, top 10 MVP guy. He is a center fielder. And so at least that hole has been plugged. The other interesting move, obviously, John Correa goes back home.
Right. And then that, I think, again, with the Twins selling off the way that they did, and Carlos Correa was only going to go back to Houston. That was the only team that he was interested in returning to, and he told the Twins that would be the case. He would only waive his no-trade clause for them. And so when the Twins were able to put a deal together to get Correa to go back to Houston, he agreed to it. He's going to play third base to allow Jeremy Pena to continue playing shortstop. But that also was an interesting move. And again, the Twins will be responsible for $30 million of what's left of that deal. So it's not like the Twins are going to get completely off the hook here, but enough off the hook that they can, I think, sell this ball club a bit easier based on everything that they did last Thursday.
Yeah, and I was looking for my notes here. Yeah, the Yankees, Louis, of course, pitching continues to be this Achilles heel for a Yankee team.
And not only that, but also getting 2 players from the Rockies, which have been, of course, a trash heap the whole year. And you had to get 2 players from that team to come over here and making us look like crap. You couldn't get anybody better. You had to get players from the Rockies. What the hell were you thinking? Or were you thinking at all? I mean,
they also, they added David Bednar earlier, and of course, help, with Bird getting the bullpen help that they need, we'll talk more about that in a minute as to how that's affecting the Yankees. Because right now, being honest,
Bird's playing more like a turd, to be honest with you.
things are not going well for the Yankees. For those of you watching, thank you for joining in the batter's box. You got any questions, any comments, any comeback? Let us have it. You know what I didn't look for, John? Winners and losers. MLB trades, huh? I mean, I had a list right here, but the list was so long. I just want to look around because were there any clear? Okay, hold on. Let me phrase it differently. Usually, the winner, or what's considered the winner of the trade deadline, is the team that got the big name, right? And that didn't happen here. Or one of the big names. That's usually what it is, or who got the best haul.
Yes.
Would you say, John, that it's possible that the team that had a very good trade day or trade deadline was the Minnesota Twins?
Well, it was in terms of being able to sell off what they needed to sell off to be able to sell the ball club. I mean, that really has been priority number one since last September. And for their ability to be able to do it, yes, they had to get rid of as much money as they possibly could, which is what they did. And they put themselves in a very good position to sell the ball club. They got a lot of young minor league players back in return. That, I mean, although you don't expect all of them to become major league players, but God, 4 or 5 of them become major league players, then that's fine. But the priority was to sell the ball club, and the only way to really do it is to take care of the assets that are on this team that are making a lot of money, like the Carlos Correa, like Duran, so forth, which is what they did. And so now it should be a lot easier for them to go ahead and really do what this season has been all about, which is for the Pollard family to get out.
Which is why I brought it up, because again, normally you don't consider a team trading off everything but the kitchen sink a winner. But in this case, the Minnesota Twins' objective wasn't about playing baseball in October and November. It had nothing to do with that.
No, but if the division had continued to be close, and again, the Tigers in a lot of ways really did help them out by them jumping out the way they did, playing as good as they have, creating the lead that they created. It did make it easier for the Twins to say, you know what, we'll just put up the white flag and do what really this season has been all about. But had the Tigers never done that, and had this division been close from top to bottom, they may not have decided to do what they did, and they may have held on to these guys and gone ahead and made the playoffs and then deal with the sale of this ball club in the offseason. But I think with the Tigers doing what they did and creating the space between themselves and everybody else, it just made it easier for the Twins to go ahead and do what they did.
Yeah, and like you were saying, and I was going to add to that the fact of the sale of the team. If you're going to go ahead, sell the team, what are you trying to do? You're going to get rid of as much assets as you can. It's a business. It was a business move.
What they did was definitely a business move, no question. And I mean, you're not going to trade your closer if you're in contention for a playoff spot. You're not going to trade Carlos Correa if you're in contention for a playoff spot. You're not doing this. But because they weren't in contention, it made it easier to go ahead and do it and get back what they got back. And like I say, if some of these guys turn out to be major league players, then down the road, what they just did is going to end up to be pretty good. But that still remains to be seen. But again, the main goal of this was to make the Twins easier to sell, and I do think that's what they accomplished.
Oh, yeah. As I share the show, I go with this, Louis. I come to you, Louis, because I said the winner. Could you consider the Minnesota Twins a winner? I'm going to give you a loser.
Unfortunately, I would.
That also comes from Minnesota. The Minnesota Twins fans are a big loser on trade day, Louis. Now they see their team. If you're a Minnesota Twin fan, Louis, you and I are Twin fan, we're going to the baseball game. I think we're going to go to have some beers and hot dogs, because what the hell do we care about a baseball team now? They just sold everything off. They're going to sell. It's like, Fans lose.
It's like yeah, put the name on the coffin already. Oh boy.
Well, I
Now,
do
John,
think
what do you
the fan base in Minnesota, I think, had an idea that this was eventually going to happen. So they shouldn't have been terribly
Yeah.
surprised by what
I'm-
eventually took place last Thursday. It's unfortunate that it had to happen, but I'm sure that they had an idea that at some point the sell-off of this baseball team was going to take place so that new ownership can be found and a new direction can be created.
Yeah, I don't think they thought the sell-off was going to be this big. It was pretty big, John. It was pretty big. From the Ringer, they say, winner, the Seattle Mariners offense. Mariners have never struggled to
Yeah,
find pitching.
absolutely.
Their rotation is one of the deepest in baseball, and the Matt Brash, Andres Munoz duo at the back end of the bullpen is as good as any as baseball. Run prevention hasn't been the issue for the Mariners, who sit at 58 and 52, 4.5 games behind the Astros. Scoring, on the other hand, and they have just addressed that. 4.5 games behind the Astros, an Astro team that neither of us can say, are we sure that the Astros can run away with the West? No, we're not. John, great move by the Mariners.
Yeah, well, I mean, getting Suarez from the Arizona Diamondbacks really was a very good move. And it provides help to Cal Raleigh. It provides help to Julio Rodriguez in that lineup, which was something that they really need. The Bo Naylor deal also certainly helps them. It helps them at first base as well. And so the Mariners now have a middle of the lineup that's a lot better than it was at any point before these trades were made. And it should provide them with a chance to support a pitching staff that really is good.
Because Louis Ichiro's not coming through that dugout anytime soon.
No.
Yeah.
No, but now they don't need him. They don't need him to come through there
You
anymore.
don't
Yeah, they don't need him to come through there anymore. Right. All right. Here's another one for you. I got another one for you, John.
Yeah.
Actually, I got a question when it comes. This is more of a question. So the Milwaukee Brewers and Detroit Tigers, especially the Detroit Tigers, I'm a little puzzled. I expected. I don't know about the Brewers, but I was expecting the Tigers to add a piece or try to add a piece, and the Brewers too, and they were both pretty quiet, John.
Well, they were, and I think in the Tigers' case, based on the lead that they possessed, the way that they jumped out and basically took that division by the throat, I think that the ownership group just decided that that team was good enough to make a serious run in the playoffs the way it's constructed. And that certainly seems to be the approach that they're taking here. And in Milwaukee's case, look, when Devin Williams was traded back in the offseason, most people thought this was going to be a rebuilding year for the Milwaukee Brewers. It has now turned to be the exact opposite. And this team now has the division themselves. It probably does surprise a lot of people. Maybe it surprised people inside the Brewers front office as well. But I think they have also decided that they're just going to go with what they've got based on the run that they have been on for really the last couple of months. They've been playing awfully good baseball with what they possess, and I think they just decided, why not? Just go with it.
Gentlemen, imagine a baseball field with about 100,000 people.
Yeah.
About 100,000 people. And so yesterday, at the Bristol Motor Speedway, over 90,000 people. John, it was pretty cool, actually. It was.
Well, the only thing that I would have about this is, yes, there were 90,000 people in that ballpark or on that racetrack, but how many of those people actually had a legitimate good view of that game?
Yeah.
Not many. Not many.
Right.
It's a racetrack, not a baseball diamond.
Exactly. It's a racetrack. It's not a baseball park.
And
Right.
it wasn't like I like the home run car. Hey, a little gimmick. First and foremost, you already know if you're gonna hold a baseball game at a NASCAR Motor Speedway, there's not going to be plenty good seats in the house.
No,
No.
and they weren't.
and there's no jumbotron or these big screens,
Right.
showing you the game. So it was an experience. Of course, living in Tennessee, the story, of course, also was first Major League Baseball game played uh, here in the state of Tennessee, and there were a lot of people there. I know the NHL does this, and what I was getting at, John, is
But at least
the
the NHL does this in places where people can actually see the game.
Yes.
yeah, and I was gonna say, yeah, the NHL does it, baseball's doing it, and yeah, it's a big difference because I mean, you got a baseball game in that venue, and I'm looking at pictures. I'm
I mean,
looking at some.
again, because there's no jumbotron, if you can't see the game,
What's the point?
what's the
Uh,
point?
I'm what is this here? I'm trying to see a picture. It looks like they had something up there, John.
Well, maybe they did it. Maybe they put in a what you would call a portable video board to provide people with a chance to watch
It
the game.
looks like it looks like they put some kind of projector, or I'm trying to find something back in the outfield. It almost looks that way.
I mean,
Oh no.
look, it was a gimmick. I hope that Major
Yeah.
League Baseball doesn't do it again, at least
Yeah.
at a racetrack.
Yeah.
That they figure out a better way. If you're going to do things like this, figure out a better way to do it than this.
Yeah.
I just think that a lot of people who went there just went there to say that they were there, and probably have no idea what happened.
Way
But
too gimmicky.
you know,
You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Louis, were they,
wasn't
yeah.
all that great based on the fact that the Braves are struggling. The Cincinnati Reds are barely holding on to a potential wild card spot. So you're talking about two teams that really weren't going to create the kind of interest in the game that you would have hoped for when you set this up in the first place. And
Yeah,
I,
because that would expect the Braves to be this bad this year. It
right,
really wasn't.
I just never could appreciate something like that because I was thinking that even in one of the big boxing matches or MMA match, not MMA, I don't know enough about that, but
Right.
boxing and the big matches that they have, and yeah, you have a jumbotron, but you know how many bad seats there are at a boxing match?
sure.
Oh
Sure.
my God, just like that. And I was like, why do you?
And think about how much money these people paid to sit in a racetrack and not be able to see basically anything.
Think about
Yeah.
how much money the people who ran the thing made.
Right. And that doesn't even include what they made off the parking.
Yeah. Oh wow, forget about it. How you say in New York, Louis? Forget
Forget
about
about
it.
it.
So Louis, look, Yankees are falling apart. Okay,
Uh,
and I read somewhere, heard somewhere, I don't know that supposedly the Yankees are going to try to get Judge back at some
oh, they
point
will.
this
They will. I
season.
mean, he's not out for the rest of the season, but they didn't say exactly when he would be back. But he is going to come back.
I
But our
have
new
no.
acquisitions were anything but spectacular. I mean, you had to get Burr from Colorado, and okay, yeah, he did decent for. That's the only thing he's done right for the Colorado this year because other than that, they just plain suck. So you had to get this louse from Colorado to come to our side, and we haven't won a game yet. We had a 9-4 lead on Friday night, and then the bullpen just choked completely. It was looking like an easy win turned into a slugfest, and we lost in the end on a blunder and a blooper in the ninth inning. Gee, shades of Buckner, I guess. Yeah, ugh, just horrible. And if anybody went up as a loser in this trade, I think the Yankees are the big loser thanks to this shameless acquisition.
Yeah, the new acquisitions did not have a great start, John. Why say you, John? The Yankees are falling apart.
Well, look, it's not just the bullpen that fell apart over the weekend in Miami. It's also some of the bad base running that took place as well. Austin Wells forgetting how many outs there were on Friday night and running back to first base
Wednesday.
when he should have stayed where he was. And then there was Chad Chisholm on Saturday being doubled off on a pop-up that was hit to second base. He just decided to stand there and watch not only the ball be caught, but the ball be thrown back to first base, and he gets doubled off. I mean, the laziness, I think, of the Yankees is really what should be the concern of everybody here, because it does appear that this team is starting to have a mind of its own. The inmates are starting to run the asylum, and it's not very good. And then you had, before the Raceway game on Saturday night, you had Derek Jeter, you had Alex Rodriguez on Fox, who were basically whining about the way this team has been playing and basically calling for Aaron Boone to be fired. I thought that was rather comical from those two, but nevertheless, it does show the state of where this team is. At one point, they were 4.5 games up in the division and now find themselves hanging on to a playoff spot.
They've been trying to get rid of Boone for a while. They were saying that all last year, I think the season before. Now I think if they don't make the playoffs this year, I think Boone is going to be gone. I really do, because I don't know how much patience Steinbrenner Jr. Was going to have with him.
I just think it's possible that this team has turned Boone off, and I think that if that is the case, then you have to do it. But
you have to. You have to.
The problem with Boone, I think, has been that he simply hasn't won the big game. His overall record is going to end up being very good, and his playoff run is going to be very good in terms of how many times they've gotten there. But he just hasn't been able to win the big game when he needs to, and that's always going to be held against him.
It has not, and there's not won a World Series either since he's been, whatever. Well, he never won a World Series anyway, but still, I mean, because that defies, that's also defies your career, your Hall of Fame career. Oh, it was good. Oh, but he never won the big title. He never won a World Series as a player or a manager. So, I don't know. Should we consider him? I don't know. There's going to be that. There's going to be that one factor hanging around.
And let's face it, you're in the prime of Judge's career. He's 33 years of age now. You're in the prime of his career. You've got to take advantage of it before that prime starts to become the back end. And to this point, the Yankees really haven't taken advantage of it.
Not at all.
All right, so I think the Milwaukee Brewers just scored about 10 more runs.
Really? Wow.
What the hell? 16 runs, 25 hits in game 1 Friday, 8 runs, 14 hits in game 2, 14 runs, 16 hits in game 3. John, nothing seems to be wrong with the Brewers offense.
No, there's nothing wrong with that offense. That's for sure. I mean, this team has really been just rolling for a while now. I mean, it's not just something that happened over the weekend. They've been rolling for a while now, and they overtook the Chicago Cubs and now have this division. I think the Cubs were one of the teams at the trade deadline that I was a bit disappointed in, because they really didn't do much themselves to give themselves a better chance to get that division back. But the Milwaukee Brewers have just been playing tremendous baseball, and they have really, I think, changed the dynamic of that division in their favor. And the question now becomes, with 8 weeks left in the season, can they maintain it? But I think, they're as good as any team in that division right now.
Yeah, it's been a hell of a run recently to overtake the Cubs, who basically were holding down the Central for the better part of the year, and all of a sudden Milwaukee just went on this run here, and you're right, it makes it very interesting now, because I think even though it's a two-team division. This is
right.
Yes.
It's a two-team division. So Chicago had their run, Milwaukee's having their run, and the most important run, obviously, John, as always, is the finish. Now it's August. So can they hold on? Does Chicago have another run in them? I'm a little concerned, because even though it's just a 2-game lead, John, a game and a half, I believe, Chicago's not playing the brand of baseball they were playing earlier that held them that lead. And they had a good lead for a while
Yes.
in that
Yes.
division.
And I think the other question in that division becomes who becomes the spoiler in that division that potentially separates the two teams that are fighting for that title. I mean, can the Cardinals be that spoiler? Can Pittsburgh be that spoiler? I mean, who's going to be the team that really makes it difficult for either one to eventually win this division?
By the way, I got to say this because I remembered. I saw a quote post on Facebook. In 1927, I believe it's 1927,
Yes.
Lou Gehrig had 173 RBIs. Even though Babe Ruth cleared the bases 66 times before Lou Gehrig came up.
Yes.
That
He had
is
60.
that, John. That's insane. If it come on.
No, it is insane. But let's face it, the pitching back in those days wasn't all that great either. But
No,
really,
it
you're
wasn't.
talking about two
But
tremendous hitters that just couldn't be stopped.
wasn't that the year he had 60 home runs?
that is a hell of a stat.
Oh no, it is. Absolutely, it is. Yes.
170.
In those days, it's not like you pitched around people in those days. You just pitched everybody that came to the plate, and that's what they did.
After Ruth cleared the bases 66 times. And I'm sure Ruth cleared a couple of those with grand slams, three-run home runs.
Yes.
Of course.
A lot of RBIs Lou Gehrig could have had. Wow. Those are the good old days, Louis, for the Yankees. I know you were watching them then, Louis. I know you.
I was.
I know you know exactly what we're talking about.
Back then you were still here.
By the way, and again, thank you for watching. You guys got questions out there or anything? It's in the battery box. John, we talked about the Dodgers, right? We joked about the Dodgers, about where they might be at the All-Star break. Okay, jokes are over. It's August. And it's time to be serious here, right? And they can't shake the Padres.
Well, again, the Padres made, I think, the move at the deadline by getting Mason Miller from the A's. I think that was the move. Now, the Dodgers are getting some of their injured pitchers back. Blake Snell, Tyler Glasnow, Blaine Trinan, they're all coming back, which allowed the Dodgers to make the Dustin May deal with the Red Sox and send May here for a couple of minor league players. I mean, the Dodgers are really banking on the injured pitchers coming back to fortify this rotation and to make them what everybody thought they were going to be back before the season began. It's a risk because of what the Padres have done and what the Padres continue to do. But nevertheless, it I think is what the Dodgers have been holding on to basically since the season began.
Because we all know, Louis, the only team that could beat the Dodgers is who?
The Dodgers themselves. Although the Padres may have something to say about it.
Yeah,
well, I think for the Padres, let's face it, the Dodgers have been the obstacle that they have had a very difficult time dealing with. And again, what they did at the trade deadline, they're setting themselves up for another war with the Dodgers of either a 5-game series or a 7-game series. And I think that they really believe that they have the best team at this point. They may be correct, but the Dodgers they have so little respect for this team that they're convinced they can beat the Padres anytime, anywhere.
Yeah. And listen, guys, the Mets and Phillies, basically, it's a heavyweight fight. It's round 7 of a scheduled 12-rounder, and they're just going back and forth there in the East. And
I'll go right down to the wire.
I like to talk a lot of crap about Philadelphia, John, but they've consistently played good baseball this year.
Well, they have, and like I say, fortifying the back end of that bullpen with Duran from the Minnesota Twins really does give them an edge. And let's face it, these two teams, I don't see a spoiler in the National League East that can make it difficult for either one of these teams to win this division. I don't think the Braves are good enough. I don't think the Marlins are. I don't think the Nationals are. And so I think that these two teams are basically fighting each other to get there. I mean, they both probably make the playoffs, but the question becomes which team wins the division and which team has to play that extra round of playoffs to make this work.
Louis, how big is the concern? I mean, the Yankees are only what 4.5 games back of Toronto. I thought the gap. I haven't checked. I thought the gap was bigger.
No.
What's the level of concern right now in the Bronx?
Well, I mean, the pitching has become erratic, and the hitting hasn't been what it used to be. So they have a lot of problems there. But of course, it's only 4.5 between the Blue Jays, the Red Sox, and us. So I mean, there is still time. I mean, I don't really think that they have the panic button yet. But if they don't start getting some wins, and if Judge can come back, then there's gonna be a lot to answer for when September rolls around.
Well, I
So we
think
gotta
the
get
panic
Judge back.
button in New York has already been pushed here, and that's why you heard the comments from Jeter and Rodriguez on Saturday night. I think the panic
Right.
button has already been pushed. And I think, the Yankees, they're a game and a half behind the Red Sox for the top spot in the wild card portion of this, never mind trying to get the division. Yes, they've got games left with the Red Sox. They've got 7 games left with them. They've got games left with the Blue Jays, too. So there's opportunity for them. But the way
There
that
is.
they're playing and the way that they're just going through the motions, you find it hard to believe that you can handle both the Red Sox and Blue Jays and get above both of them.
Looking kind of. And John, speaking of the Sox, winners of 5 straight, 8 out of their last 10. They're in second place. Last time I looked, John, the Sox were in 4th place. What did I miss?
Well, you missed the young players really changing the clubhouse and really changing the direction of this team. And because they have created such a high energy level in that clubhouse, it really has changed the fortune of this team, no question. They're getting very good starting pitching. They've added, Steven Matz to that bullpen, another lefty, another guy with some playoff experience, which for the most part this team doesn't have. But they have really been playing very good baseball. Getting Alex Bregman back, playing third base really helps. The infield defense, the outfield defense was always good enough. I mean, this team really is playing a lot better baseball, and they have the parts in place to make the run that's going to make it uncomfortable for the Yankees and potentially uncomfortable for the Blue Jays too.
Hey, Louis, the Baltimore Orioles suck again.
Yes, they do. I mean, if there's one team that's been a real disappointment this year, it's definitely been the Orioles.
Yes.
I mean,
yes.
I mean, everyone's thinking, oh, what about the Rockies? Yeah, but we expected them. I don't think anybody expected the Orioles to crash and burn just like this in just one season. I mean, the past 2 seasons they went over 100 games, and this is a total meltdown. So this has
Even
got to be
when
like the biggest disappointment of all the major leagues this year. Has to be.
Even when it started, I was thinking they would eventually claw their way out of the hole. And John, they can't.
Well, not only have they not crawled out of the hole, they continue to add minor league players to a system that already has a ton of them.
Abundance of minor league players.
And at some point, you've got to do something with these minor league players. You just can't keep stocking your entire system with so many minor league players that you just have no room for these guys.
They're not going to play. Why do you have all these players? They can't all play.
They can't all play. And so I do think that when the offseason comes, the Baltimore Orioles are really going to have to redefine what this team looks like and who they're going to play with, and then take the excess and see if they can't add some experienced players and create a mix that's going to be much better than what they have at the moment.
And listen, folks, earlier we talked about the West, the American League West, with the Astros and the Mariners. The only division we haven't talked about, and the division that we're not going to talk about, is the American League Central. Because I told you guys well over a month ago, it's over. That
It's
division is over. It's been over. John, to be a manager, at some point, for lack of better words, at some point in that clubhouse, that team basically said, okay, we can put it in cruise control now. And that's
Well, the
basically
problem with putting it in cruise control is that you've got to put it back to overdrive soon. And I think that's been the problem for the Tigers, is that they're waiting for October to show up, and it's still 8 weeks away. And you've got to start playing some pretty good baseball, which they haven't been doing. And I do think that that would be the concern for A.J. Hinch going forward. is trying to get this team back to playing the way they did back in April and May.
Right. And basically what I was saying was, and that's true, John, of course, but it looks like they've just taken a moment in time. Me as a manager, I never want to go on cruise control. I want to win 145 games, and I want to win 162 games. You won't know the truth, but that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. I believe from what we've seen so far, John, I believe the Tigers, when they're ready, they can take that.
Well, that's always the concern. I mean, to shut it down and then flip the switch and say, okay, we can go back to what we were doing. That's always a
right. You don't want to take You don't want to take a chance. Their threat is not losing the division. It doesn't mean that they can't collapse. We've had epic collapses before, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen with the Tigers. The thing, like you're saying, John, is be careful how long you keep it on cruise control. Because if you keep it there too long, you might not be able to turn that nut high enough in time come the postseason. And in case nobody knows this, and everybody does, especially if you're a Detroit Tiger fan, I would assume with the season the Tigers are having, that Tiger fans and MLB fans are thinking,
yeah, but hold on a second. The Tigers, have been in a slump of themselves lately. I mean, they lost 14 the last 16. That doesn't look. I know they have a comfortable lead in the division right now, but they haven't been playing like that they should, though.
No,
not quite a lot.
No, and then hopefully it's a little slump.
I mean, at some point, Lynch's got to regain control of that team and basically tell them, okay, boys, we got to start playing again. It doesn't. Right. He's been able to do that to this point, and that would be the concern.
And not so much for the division that should be had already, but so much more to prepare yourself for that deep postseason run that is expected of this Detroit Tiger team, the way they played this year. So things to pay attention to.
And let's face it, the Tigers now look beatable.
They do, though. They do. I mean, you're right, John. They were looking pretty invincible for a while there.
And now they look beatable.
You're right. Well, I guess we've covered the gamut on that. So we go to our final topic of the day. I call it one of our feel-good stories. So John told me today, I think he told me before, but I have a good memory. It is not LeLacheur. It is LeLacheur. That is LeLacheur Park in Lowell, Massachusetts, which, I don't know, happens to be like right over there outside of John's bedroom window, like right over there.
Yeah.
And we get the news, and I'll let John tell it. We get the news. We get the great news. John, what's that great news?
Well, the great news is that for the first time since 2019, summer baseball will be back at LeLacheur Park next summer, as the Futures League, a summer collegiate baseball league, has signed an agreement with UMass Lowell to be in that ballpark starting next May to play what will be a 44-game season, 22 home games in the Futures League, and there will be 7 teams will be in that league starting in May. And it's great news for a ballpark that really has needed to be utilized in the summer. It hasn't been since 2019. And now it gets back to being what it was supposed to be when it was originally constructed. And this is good news really for the baseball fans in the area, for the baseball program at UMass Lowell, really for everybody, because now the park's going to get utilized and revenue will start to be made, which hopefully can be redistributed not only back into the ballpark, but into the university itself. This is all good. It's an agreement that's been 3 years in the making, is what we found out last Wednesday when the signing was done. And it's been a collaboration of the league, the school, and other people, council members here in the city that really decided that the ballpark needed to be used again. There was some talk at the very early stages of this that the park would get torn down, but that fortunately will not happen. This summer, the ballpark has been going through a bit of a remodeling. which has been rather successful. It's not completely finished and may not be completely finished by the time they start playing in May, but at least it'll be to the point where the park can be opened, and so it can be used the way it's expected to be used. The luxury suites are going to get redone so that they can be used next May, and hopefully the third base concourse section, which has really been the sticking point of all of this, hopefully is taken care of by the time next May arrives. And the ownership group, which is not in place yet, is expected to go through an interview process that could take a couple of months. And so hopefully by the time the end of October arrives, that the ownership group for this baseball team will be in place, and that a scheduling for next season can be done. And hopefully that would be made available to the public by the time Thanksgiving weekend arrives.
Outstanding. And I'm sure that I'm not speaking out of turn when I say that you can soon catch John Doucette at Lasher Park real soon, covering the new Futures League team, something that we've been waiting and hoping for. John talked about it. As he said, the city's been talking about it. It's been in the works, and now it's here. So we'll see.
Here's the interesting part to all of this. We're talking Futures League summer baseball, 44-game season. To own a franchise in that league, it's going to cost $250,000.
Huh.
Peanuts.
True.
Yeah. Compared to other stadiums and everything, yeah.
Compared to other leagues, right? But I did find that surprising for a league that's only a 44-game season and lasts 2.5 months. That it will cost you $250 to get in.
The WNBA is a 40-game season, I believe, and it costs $250 million. Speaking of which, John, before we sign out on final thoughts, another move in Boston as Boston Celtics minority owner.
Well, former Celtic minority owner now. The Celtics are now having
former Celtics minority. Yes, right. Former has now the deal is now finalized, and it purchased the Connecticut Sun and plans to move the team to Boston.
Well, team president Jennifer Rosati is not happy and made that point today in the press conference that she held at Mohegan Sun, in which the term acquisition was used, and she bristled at that. She didn't like that particular word. The governor in the state of Connecticut has also made that he's going to do everything he can to try and keep the Connecticut Sun at Mohegan, where they've been profitable since 2003. Everybody does need to keep that in mind. I think there's a bit of a war that's now starting to be developed between Connecticut and Massachusetts over this particular basketball team. I don't think that the final word on this has been done. I think some sort of a compromise eventually gets made between the two parties to allow games to still be played at Mohegan Sun, maybe not the entire schedule, but I think some games will still be played at Mohegan and some games will be played at TD Garden. The real interesting thing about the whole thing is TD Garden was supposed to be a summer concert venue in the summertime once the Bruins and Celtics season was over. Unfortunately, that has failed. And it has failed because the summer concert venue that artists now want to use is Fenway Park. That has become the place that everybody wants to play concerts in, as opposed to being in the Garden, where it would be available from, say, June until at least Labor Day weekend, maybe even the end of September. But Fenway Park has become the place that everybody, all these artists want to go to. And it has become the summer concert venue site that everybody now wants to use. And that's what made this possibility really created, because the Garden is empty and nothing's going on in there. And yet at Fenway Park, if the Red Sox aren't there, there's a summer concert there. And so they're able to fill dates at ease, and the Garden has not. And I think that's the part of this that really has become very interesting, is that the Garden has not become what Fenway Park has become. I mean, hell, the Red Sox ownership group is just making tons and tons of money. And now that the baseball team is playing well, it gets even better for them. Whereas the Garden is sitting there silent because they got to wait until September when the Bruins and Celtics come back.
Connecticut's they've been playing games at the TD Garden. I mean, Louis with this blow up explosion of the WNBA, yeah, I mean it would make sense to fill that hole that the
Exactly.
Garden, yeah, right,
Yeah,
yeah,
the one thing you got to remember is that Connecticut can never really find itself as a sports town. I mean, you got one part, of course. You got let's put it this way: Connecticut is divided into two sections. On this side, you got the New York crowd. You got the Knicks, the Islanders, the Nets, the Rangers. Then they go to the Garden. Over on this side is where John's territory is with Boston. You got TD Gardens. You got Fenway. Excuse me, and you got the Red Sox, the Bruins, the Celtics. Excuse me. And Connecticut always finds itself lost. I mean, that's why the Hartford Whalers moved to North Carolina because Connecticut just can't it's like stuck in the shadows between New York and Boston, and it's no wonder why their franchises can't survive. And they don't draw much of a crowd too much, so it doesn't surprise me. I'm surprised it didn't happen sooner.
It's one of the
I
things
was
that
in Connecticut
Jennifer
for
was.
a year. Yeah, I
Yeah.
was in Connecticut for a year for schooling, and it's like, well, it's like you're just lost because you always think of Connecticut as like more closer to like the New England area, like in Boston, and over here in New Jersey, we're like with the baby borough of New York. I mean, we get respect anyway. So, you know, but you guys, Connecticut
good point.
doesn't look like it's like a sports franchise town because it's overshadowed by two of the big cities.
Yeah,
And it's one of the things that Jennifer Rosati apparently talked about today is that she doesn't like the idea that Connecticut is basically in the middle of something that she believes it shouldn't be in the middle of. Like I say, the Connecticut Sun have been a profitable franchise in Mohegan since 2003. So it's not as if this team has had a problem. They have not had the problem. And she doesn't like, first of all, she didn't like the word acquisition, didn't like that word at all. And I don't blame her. I mean, the team shouldn't be in the position that they're in. They're making money. They're selling out that arena. Yes, it's a bad basketball team this year at 5-22, but it doesn't seem to matter. They're still putting people in the seats. And because of that, she's saying, why us? And I think that's a legitimate question to ask. Why us?
Yeah.
good point. Oh, good stuff. Good stuff, Louis. That's the wrong one. Final thoughts, Louis.
Yeah. Well, right now the Yankees are in a bit of a tailspin. You got your pitching. Your pitching is terrible. You got to get Judge back. I mean, if you're gonna be contending, over these next now 7-8 weeks, you got to get everybody back in place. You got to get Judge back. The pitching's got to be better, and the hitters got to start hitting. Otherwise, September is going to be hell. Not to mention the rest of August too.
I look forward to September being hell for the
I know
Yankees.
you will.
I absolutely look forward to that. John, final thoughts.
Well, the other thing that came out this week is that the 2027 All-Star Game has been decided, and Wrigley Field is going to have the opportunity to host that game. It will be the third time in the franchise's history, the first time since 1990 that Wrigley Field will get the All-Star Game. And based on the success of the one that just took place, I think people are becoming a bit interested in where these games are going to be played if that type of entertainment is now going to become a part of the All-Star Game. Be very interesting to see how next year's All-Star Game goes because of the success of the one that just took place.
Yeah.
John, final thoughts, John.
Well, that was the final thought.
John, I just drew a blank. The other voice in my head said, John just gave you his final thoughts. My final thoughts, of course, go back to my New York Mets. I mean, it's you root for your team. You want your team to do good. You want your team to compete. You understand as a fan, your team's not going to win the World Series every year. They're not going to get 27 World Championships. Not everybody is the vaunted New York Yankees, but you just want your team to compete. I'm watching my Mets compete. I look at them, of course, they're in this battle with the Philadelphia Phillies. You start thinking about the postseason. I start looking at the other team. You got to look at the Milwaukee Brewers. Who comes out of the Central? How strong are they? Can my Mets play with the Brewers? Can my Mets play with the Cubs? I say yes. Can my Mets play with the San Diego Padres? I say yes. And can they play with the Dodgers? You see, there's the question, because we can joke all we want about, well, the Dodgers are going to win 65. But listen, look at the starters that have been hurt. It's not like they had Joe Blow and Carl Nobody. Had two freaking horses that are coming back to that pitching staff. And if the Dodgers get that pitching staff, they're getting it back. If they get that staff back in order to make that run late August, early September, as a Met fan, I'm no longer concerned with the questions. Hey, can we overtake the Phillies? I think we can. Can we play with the Brewers? Can we? It's not going to make much of a difference, because the Dodgers. That's what I'm concerned about, John. If the Dodgers, you think about it, we play a long regular season. So long as you keep yourself in contention, it is in August, a couple of weeks from now. If teams don't have their asses in high gear, you might as well just give it up, because this is when you come to play. And if the Dodgers team turns out to be what we thought they were going to be, John, by late August, I don't think the rest is going to matter.
Well, I think the interesting thing about the Dodgers is, with all the injuries that they've had, they've still been in first place more often than not. And they do need to be given credit for that. And I think that's why, if they get this team healthy and get everybody in place and everyone accepts roles, that's why this thing can still take off in the positive direction. Because with all the injuries, they've still been able to hold off the Padres, and for a while it was the Giants, and yet have this division to themselves. And so there's no reason to believe that if this team gets healthy enough, that they just still can't run away and hide.
So they would do the divisional NLCS World Series, meaning they need 12 wins,
right,
to win the World Series.
And that's the key here. The one thing the Dodgers don't want to do is add an extra round of playoffs.
They don't want an extra round. Exactly.
They don't want to do that. So as long as they don't have to do that, they should be in pretty good shape.
And I was going to add, too. So 12 games to win a world championship, 12 games when it counts the most. Because people, listen, come late October, early November, if you're not ready, then what the hell are you doing there? You're ready. It's there. You got to win 12 games. Some other teams got to win more. But the Dodgers got to win 12. And here's the thing with this Dodgers team. If they put it together, it's a team that not only can win 12 games, they might go 12-0, 12-1, 12-2 while they're
11.
at it. Right. It's conceivable with this team. And so, contrary to what we were saying to Detroit, very good point that you brought up, John. With Detroit, the letdown is you were on this high, this incredible high. Don't let yourself come down too low, and you screw your postseason. The difference, like you said, with the Dodgers, even throughout the injuries, they've been able to win all year.
Right. Yeah. And it's a credit to Dave Roberts. It's a credit to the way he manages that ball club and runs that clubhouse, that this team has been focused enough, despite the injuries, to still be who they are.
Yeah, if anybody doesn't know it, by the way, Dave Roberts, he can manage a baseball team. Thank you for joining us. This is In the Batter's Box, the NGSC Sports Baseball Show. I'm your I'm your host, Ralph Garcia, along with John Doucette. Louis Tenor, please remember the website, ngscsports.com, where you catch all of your current content. I'll be back in 48 hours with the NGSC Sports WNBA podcast. I believe that Jordan Rhea is going to join me. I hope that Jordan is going to join myself, my daughter Keisha, and I don't know if Betty Lacey Cantley is going to join us this week, but we're going to go in depth on the playoff push in the WNBA. We're going to look at the bottom, the team 6 through 10, and the battle for the last 3 playoff spots there. So a lot to talk about on Wednesday. So we appreciate you guys coming by. Until then.